Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us at the Microsoft Power BI UK user group. I'm your host Leon Gordon, and as always, we're back with another fantastic session where we come together as a community to learn more about Power BI. And we've got a special treat for you today. Many of you know my fellow MVP, Pragrati Jain. She's also the manager of the Microsoft Power BI UK user group, and she's joining us for the first time as co-host of today's session. So welcome, Pragrati.
Thanks, Leon. I'm quite excited to be here finally after a few months. So yeah.
Exactly. You and me both. It's been a while that we've been discussing having you join us as a co-host, and it's really good to have you with us now as well.
Thanks, Leon. Thank you.
Excellent. So, I mean, do you want to give, for those people that are meeting you for the first time as part of the Power BI UK user group on a live webinar, do you want to give them just a bit of background about you, Pragrati?
Yeah, so hi everyone. First of all, I'm quite excited because this is first time I have been managing this group for some time now, and this is first time I'm on a live event today. But yeah, we have been discussing, as Leon said, from quite some time that I really need to be here. But yeah, see, today is the final day, and see, first day and I'm here. So those who don't know me, guys, my name is Pragati Jain, and I'm a data platform MVP, as Leon introduced me, and I think most of you already follow me on LinkedIn and social networking websites. So yeah, I'm working as a senior consultant here in London at Avanade. So yeah, that's like a quick introduction about me. And I know mostly people might be knowing me if you're joining from the Power BI UK group or, from LinkedIn or Twitter, other places. So yeah, that's me.
Excellent. Thank you, Pragrati. Like I say, it's really good to have you with us, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. So
Definitely.
welcome on board as a co-host. As always, welcome to everybody for joining us. Please do let us know on the chat where you're joining us from, whether you're based in the UK or somewhere else in the world. We would love to know where you're joining us from today. So with that being said, as always, we want this to be a very interactive session. So please do feel free to ask questions throughout and comment on the information you're receiving throughout as well. And also, please do react. Hit that like button. Also, react on LinkedIn. We really want to see that you're enjoying yourselves. So, with that being said, today's session we're going to look at Power Query joins and take a deep dive with Cristian Angyal. Now, I'll just give a bit of a brief background around Cristian before we hand over to him for his session. So, Cristian describes himself as a project management professional turned into a data guy, working as a link between two worlds, being business and IT. Having worked for the last 15 plus years with different data roles in several industries, he was fascinated when he discovered Power Query and Power Pivot back in 2014, and then Power BI ultimately in 2015. So, Cristian, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. So, welcome.
Welcome, Christian.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Pragati and Leon, for hosting me. And it's a great honor to be a speaker on your user group when I know what kind of speakers you had before. It's an honor for me to be here.
It's fantastic to have you with
First of
us.
all, I'm really happy that I joined, and let's hope the demo gods will be with me because I really had some problems with my PC, and hopefully we can run this session right without the reboot because I'm
No,
really scared about this.
no problem at all, Cristian. Like I say, we've all done sessions before, and we know what it's like with the demo god. So, thank you for behind the scenes and spending some time to get that resolved. And what we'll do, we'll hand over to you for your session now. So, all of the best.
Good luck.
Well, thank you very much. Link from Romania. Uh, it's my first time speaking on Microsoft Power BI UK user group, and I'm really happy to be here with a session on joins in Power Query. As Leon said, I'm a data guy now, but my background is electrical engineering, actually. And then I worked in engineering, in project management, in business project management, and starting 2 years now, I'm working in IT as a link between our IT group and the business. I've always been a very efficient person. I don't like to call it lazy, but I'm efficient, and I always wanted to learn more and do my job easier and faster. This is why I set for different exams to verify my knowledge in different areas. And besides my Microsoft credentials, I'm also running the Romania Power BI user group, was an organizer since 1.5 years now. Enough about me. You have my contacts on the left. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. All the sessions from Romania Power BI user group are saved on YouTube, on SSBI Central channel. So let's get going with the session. So the high level agenda for today, it's pretty standard for this kind of session. It's we'll go through the standard joins in Power Query. I'll show you two additional join types, the full anti-join and the cross join. We'll do also the fuzzy matching, getting the previous row, and the self-merging joins. So what are joins? Joins are the process of combining two queries using merge in Power Query. We are joining two queries in Power Query in order to enrich the data, add rows, remove rows, and everything is done based on the matching columns in the two queries. We'll see it in action, but everything, all the merges that are done are mostly done using the user interface. And on the screen now, you have the user interface from data flows, from Power BI, or from Excel. They are all looking pretty much similar, and all the joins are accessed using this button, Merge Queries, on the screen. One thing that I was a little bit confused at the beginning was the terms that were used when reading or learning about joins. In some articles or videos, there were some references to the main table and related table. On other articles, there were top top table and bottom table, and it took me a while to understand, and I wanted to make sure that nobody else will have the same struggle as I did at the beginning. When we are pressing the merge button on the user interface, we'll get a window like this. Excuse me. And here on the top, we have the primary table, and on the bottom, we have the related table. It's the top table and the bottom table, as I said. But you'll hear me probably speaking, and you'll probably see uh, um, references to the left table and the right table. And in order to visualize it, this is how the left table and the right table are have to be thought about. So the top table is the left table, the bottom table is the right table. So whenever you are hearing primary top or left table, it's the first one that you are doing the join with, and whenever you are hearing about the related bottom or right table, it's the bottom one, the one that you are merging with. Using the Power Query user interface, there are 6 standard type of joins. Here on the screen, you have some Venn diagrams directly taken from data flows. There are the 6 type of joins are the left outer join, where you keep all the rows on the left table and get whatever fits or returns from the right table. The right outer join is the one, the opposite. The full outer join is the one returning all the rows from both tables. The inner join is the join returning only the matching rows. Left anti and right anti are the joins returning only the rows on the left table or on the right table. Besides these 6 standard type of joints, there are some other type of joints, the full AntiJoin, which I will demo tonight, which is the one uh, getting the differences, only the differences between the first table and the second table on the left and the right, the cross join, and some self joins that you can do with either of these. Well, it's demo time, and I hope my my Power BI file is working. So let me try to move it on this screen. As I said, I had some issues just before going in, and I hope it will work fine. You should see my Power BI file now.
Yes, we can see that coming through fine.
Yeah, okay. Before opening the Power Query editor, I wanted to tell you a little bit about most of my demos tonight. These are related to the Power Query masters, as I call them, are the people that I've learned most from them. And it's not working. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Oh. Well, to be honest, I don't know what's happening with my PC, but it's, even if I closed it and reopen it, it's not doing what I tell him to do. Well, let's hope it's not stuck, completely stuck. It's not working very well. This is a simple table. It should have opened it much more faster.
That's okay. No problem at all. This happens from time to time.
Yeah, it's not the best way to start a demo, right? With a crash.
No, like I say, been there myself, and I'm sure Brigatti has as well. So, no worries at all. Let's just take a few moments to see if we can get this up and running again. Like I say, I think we have a very interactive group of us today that are very excited for the knowledge that's going to be shared in this session. So, please just take the time that you need.
Yeah. Well, this table opened. Let's hope the Power Query editor is also opening. It should be visible now.
Excellent. Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, let me close everything and start from the top. I took the liberty to prepare the data because I tend to go over the allotted time, and this is why I start with mostly almost all the demos done. So as I said, I have a list of my top 20 Power Query masters, and most of the demos tonight will be done using their names, Twitter handles, and their site or YouTube channels. Out of everybody here, just randomize, I split it the query in 2 different queries. One with the first name, last name, and the Twitter handle, and another one also random with only the Twitter handle and the site YouTube channel. And we will try to simulate how the joins are working using those 2 different data sets and see which ones are matching or not. So as we said at the beginning, and probably most of you know already, the left outer join is the default one, is the default join in Power Query. And the way I did the join itself, it was just by referencing the Power Query Master's query. So I have everything inside. I have all the data inside this file, and all the data is entered with enter data button here. So it's easier to modify or send after the session this file. So uh, for the inner joins, I just referenced the PQ masters, the first query, and then I did a merge using these merge buttons, merge queries. It's taking too long. It will take forever, like this. So if I'm doing the merge, I'm choosing on the left table, it's the actual table that it's referenced, and I'm choosing the other query, and I'm matching these two queries by the Twitter handle, which is the common column in these two queries. As you see, default is the left outer join, all from first, so returning all the rows from the first table, matching in the second table. And by doing this merge, we get an additional column with the matching rows wherever there was a match. If you check the preview here, you see all the data for whatever matching was found. So for this one, for Os du Soleil, for example, yes, we have a match in the second table, but for this one, we don't have. Next step is to expand and reveal whatever column you want from this table. And this is what I did on the next step. So I just expanded the right table, how I called it here, and getting all the matching rows with data, and we are getting nulls for the rows that are not having a match in the second table. And then just for a better visual management, I'm just doing a sort. If you check here, I'm sorting by two columns here, by last name first and then by the Twitter handle, and I'm not sure if it's visible. There is a small one and a two here showing the order of the sort. This is the left join. The right outer join, it's more or less the same thing. I'm referencing the PQ masters. I'm doing a merge. And this time I'm choosing from here, from the join kind, the right outer join, trying to match all the records from the second table, so from the social media website where we have the Twitter handle and the site, with whatever we find in the left table. If we are also getting an additional column with a matching table wherever it's visible, and the result of all the rows on the second table sorted. The reason why I'm sorting is to be very visible what's in the second table, this one that we were trying to match with, against this one, which is the first one where we have the names and the Twitter handle. So right outer join is returning this result. So for every record in the second query, we get all the matching records in the first one. The full outer join, it's the join that is matching actually everything from the first table and everything from the second table, regardless whether we have data or not. And we are doing the same thing. We are referencing the PQ masters, the first query, doing a merge, but this time we are choosing from the drop-down the full outer join, all rows from both tables. Expanding these additional columns will return everything from first table and the second table. So it's getting Power Query Editor is better than before, but still it's not working as it should. And then doing the sort, this is exactly getting all the data from the first query and the second query. So this is a match where we can check whether these Twitter handles were not in the first table, or this Miguel Escobar or Imke was not present in the second query. So from here, we can do whatever we want with the data, getting, putting additional filters or doing whatever we need. There's another type of join, standard join. It's the inner join, which is actually getting only the matching rows between the two queries. So if we're referencing again the PQ masters query and do a merge with the inner join, so from the join kind, we choose the inner join. We are getting from the beginning, not sure if you saw at the beginning on the left table, we had 12 rows. From the start, after doing the merge, everything is reduced only to the matching rows. So for the inner joins, whatever table we are having here, it's not necessarily important unless we want to get some additional data out of it. And I'm saying this because there are use cases where you want just to reduce the number of rows based on matching criteria. But this time I wanted to expand the second table to get the website and the Twitter handle just for comparison, and then doing the sort again just for visual management. This is one way to, this is the way how to do the inner join. And there are two join types that are present in Power Query with buttons directly from user interface, even if these inner joins can be done in SQL, for example, using different select types. These are the left anti-join and the right anti-join. As I said, these type of joins are returning only the rows that are getting on the left table if we are doing a left anti-join. So I'm excluding everything that it's common with the second query, and I'm doing it exactly like the other ones. I'm just changing the join kind here in the options, and whenever I'm doing the expand, of course I won't find anything because I'm having only the rows that are present in the left table. Sorting the rows, it's just for visual purposes, and the right anti-join, it's the exact opposite thing, keeping the rows only from the second table. So we want to see whatever is present only on the second table. These kind of joins are really helpful for accountants, for example, when they want to see a balance and they want to they want to check not what's matching inside, but only the differences in something like this in one on one side or another one. And these two type of joints are the ones that are the ones restricting or showing only rows in on one side or another, exactly like the left outer join and right outer join. Placing the tables differently here in the interface on the screen. So if I would put social media website, this query, on the first one and do the PQ masters on the second one and doing the left anti-join would be the same thing. So the right anti-join and the right outer join and right anti-join are the exact same thing like the other ones, but the only thing is you can use only left or left anti and left outer, switching the position of the tables. Is there any question until now, Leon?
Yes, definitely. So the first question that comes in is asking what are the benefits of doing your joins within Power Query as opposed to outside, for example, with a VLOOKUP in Excel?
Very good question. Well, exactly as spotted, if you think about the joints and you check the default behavior, you are only doing normal VLOOKUP. If you are thinking about XLOOKUP, for example, with dynamic arrays, or you want to have um, one click refreshable queries, I would put everything in Power Query and use the joins. Another good benefit of using joins in Power Query is that you can return multiple columns. So with VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP, you can return a single column. You can do a single VLOOKUP, and I'll show you a little bit later. With joins, you can also do joins on multiple columns. One thing that with VLOOKUP, you would have to add an additional helper column to concatenate whatever you want to look up for. So there are
Fantastic.
definitely a lot of benefits using joins and not VLOOKUP. And I
Fantastic.
hope I can convince you by the end why you would use this.
Excellent. And with that being said as well, the last question before I pass back over to you, is there anything to be aware of from a performance perspective in taking this approach?
No, there is no performance impacted. Usually, all the, and I'm saying usually, all the transformations done using the user interface in Power Query are not really heavily impacting the performance. Of course, depending on the size of the data set, you could have some potential problems, but these are solvable with different other methods. For example, table.buffer or using SQL Server and leveraging query folding there. There are some potential solvings if you have problems with large data sets. But normally, no.
And Nawaz has just, Nawaz has just expanded on this question slightly, and what he's asking is, what are the advantages? What are the advantages of doing this versus joining in SQL? As he mentions, he thought Power Query comes with a slight performance disadvantage.
Well, as I said before, if you have SQL and you can do everything in SQL, do it there. Matthew Roach has some great sessions on data transformation. It's Roach Maxim. You would need to do all the transformations as high as possible in the flow and as low as necessary. So if you have access to a SQL Server, you could do the joins there, build a view, connect to the view, leverage the query folding, and move forward. But if you don't have SQL and you have data sources like CSVs or Excels or SharePoint sites or whatever, you cannot do it in SQL, and you can leverage it like this.
Excellent, thank you. We do have a couple more questions coming in. Would you like to take those now or wait until
Yes, no problem.
Okay,
One
excellent.
thing, just before the questions, just to make it very clear, all the joins, everything that I'm presenting today are also available in Excel and all the other tools where Power Query is present. So whatever you see that I'm doing in Power Query, it's available in Excel also.
Fantastic. Thank you for clarifying. So the next question that comes in from Alt Enter asks, are joins foldable?
Some of them, not all of them. As far as I know, some of them are the left anti-join, and I think it's also the right anti-join, but I will have to ask to check this. As far as I know, 2 years ago, when Alex Powers started a 30-day query challenge, where he was giving us a sample data set and a question every day, uh, there were some joins which were not foldable. I know that some of them are foldable meanwhile, so we will have to check on each of them.
Excellent. Thank you, Christian. And our next question comes in from Debbie Edwards. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for joining us again. And she asks, any tips on joining in a data flow in Pro rather than Premium? There are certain things you can't do in a data flow, I believe, and I think this is one of them.
I think you can do the joins, of course, but there are some limitations regarding the enhanced compute engine, and these are related to Premium. It's not about joins itself, but it's more about the entities in the data flows there. So Power Query works the same.
Excellent. Thank you, Christian. That's all the questions for now. I'll let you continue your session.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, besides these 6 type of joins, out of the last 2 ones, the left anti-join and the right anti-join, we can build ourselves a full anti-join. And this is pretty easy to do. Referencing the left anti-join here and appending, actually, this time we're not using the merge, but we use the append. If you check here, so we're not using the merge here. We are using the append button to append the right anti-join, the next one, and put both queries on top of each other. We get a table where we have everything which is not matching, or everything which is either on the left table or on the right table. As you can see here, these records, so Miguel Escobar, Imke, Reza, everybody who has data here, it's only on the left query, and everybody who is not having null on this side, it's only on the second query. So this is the way how to do full anti-join, not by merging, but by appending the 2 left and right anti-joins. One tip here is you have to make sure that the names are the same in both tables, because doing an append will match everything, even if it's not in the same order. But as long as one column has a different name, it will be added near the other ones. So make sure that you have the same names on the left anti-join, same column names on the left anti-join and the right anti-join before doing the append. This is the full anti-join, and it's really, really cool. There is another type of join, the cross join. Here I had a different data set. I took some smaller samples from the original query. So I have 12 rows on the PQ masters, and the Twitter website. It's also a small sample data set. And cross join means that we want to add, for each of the records on the left table, we want to add all the records on the second table. Let's say that here in our example, everybody, Matt Ellington, Oz, everybody here wants to follow everybody else on Twitter. And this is why we need a list with Matt Ellington and all the other list from the second from the second query. How do we do it? Well, it's pretty easy actually, and we can do it in two ways. One way it's using a standard merge, and for this, on the query, which is the referenced query, we add a column with a very complicated formula. A simple column, regardless of the name, with a 1 or whatever character that you need, some constant. We need a column that needs to have the same value for everything, for every row, and you will understand very soon why. On the other query that we want to join and do the cross join, we are doing the same thing. We are adding a custom column, which is called custom, with the same value, and that's it. Doing the cross join is actually referencing the first one, this one, the 8 masters, for example. And now you see a hash and apostrophes because the name of the query starts with a number, and this is how Power Query is dealing with step names and the query names that are dealing with are starting with numbers or are having spaces. So we are doing a reference on this query, and then we do a merge. Well, the merge will be done using the exact custom column that we added, and this way, for every one that we have here, we get all the rows from the second query, and I'll show you in a preview what I mean. So as you saw on the inner join and all the other joins, we had only the matching rows coming here or nulls. Here, because we have a 1 in both the left query and the right query, we get a match with everything that it's in the second query, and this match is done for every column here. Expanding the online presence, the second query returns us all the rows from the first query together with all the rows from the second query. But here we have also for the matching columns, for example, like this one. Matt Ellington was both in the first query and the second query. We got a match also here, but if we want to do a follow on Twitter, he will not follow himself, right? So we have to treat this kind of solutions, and this is done using a custom column, just checking whether the Twitter handle on which is the column coming from the left table is matching with the right table Twitter handle. So I'm doing a simple, here is not working correctly. I'm just checking with a true or false whether these are equal, and then I'm filtering out the ones that were true, were matching actually. If this would work. Yeah, so I'm keeping only the false ones, so the ones that were not matching from the left with the right, and then remove the column. Well, this is one way to do it, but I've learned an even faster and a better way to do it, and not using merge, which is pretty simple and complicated in the same time in terms of logic. I'm doing the same thing. I'm referencing the PQ masters, and I'm adding a custom column with a really complicated formula. In the formula here, I'm just writing the name of the query that I want to do the cross join with. It's not working like this. So I hope the zoom is better like this now. So instead of doing any calculation or anything, inside this custom column, I'm writing the name of the query that I want to do the cross join with. And this is actually adding me a column with tables for each of them. And in each of these tables, if you click the white space here, we see a preview. We have all the data that we needed, exactly like we did with the merge. On expanding the columns and doing the same checks, whether the Twitter handle is the same on the left and the right, gives us the same result. And it's really, really easy to do it like this, even without using the merge. Well, this type of joints are working fine as long as the data sets are not very large. I've did some tests using larger data sets, and uh, the performance is much better using the join on the version one, doing the merge on the same column than this one. But for small data sets, this can be used also, and it's really, really easy to use, just adding a column with, for each of the rows here, just give me the entire social media website, which is this one, this query, and it's working really good. Any questions, Leon?
Yes, indeed. We do have some questions coming through. Okay, so our first question comes from Alt Enter, and what she mentions is that
Jessica.
she always okay, coming from Jessica. Thank you, Jessica. I always tell my students to clean up their queries before doing an append. Is that a practice that you would recommend, as she has students that ask why they can't append and then clean up? Just to hear your thoughts.
Are you referring to the column names or in general? Because in my view, whenever you want to do an append, you have to have all the clean data before. So it's a matter of just doing the append and not think about it, both in terms of the quality of the data inside and the column name. So you make sure that everything fits together with the previous column names. So I'm on your side on this one. I also tend to do the cleanup before.
And what Jessica then goes on to say is that in general, but yes, she's referring to the structural items.
Yeah, so I'm with you on this one.
Excellent. And our next question comes in from Dean Perry, and he asks, is there any difference in performance between cross-join in DAX versus using it in Power Query?
It probably is, but I never did the test on the exact same data set, so I can tell you whether it's better to do it there or there. It's, in my view, whatever needs to be loaded in data model, you should do it in Power Query and not in DAX. As long as you can do it in Power Query, do it there, do the transformations as upstream as possible, and keep the DAX transformations only when you don't have any other choice.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. And that's all of our questions for now, Cristian.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on. Closing these ones and go to other joins. Multiple column joins. Well, here I have two tables which are also referenced from the initial table. But as I said, all my tables are inserted with enter table here, creating the table. And I want to, it's more or less the same type of data, but this time I don't have the Twitter handle anymore. So the common column, I don't have it in both columns. So if you check here on the first table, yes, I do have it, but on the second query, I don't have the Twitter handle, so I cannot do the join based on the Twitter handle as I did before. But I still want to get for these queries, for this query, for each of the masters here, I want to get the website. So how do we do it? So just like before, I'm just referencing the first query. I could do merge directly from here if I'm selecting it and merge query as new. I would totally can do it this way, but then the first step in the new query will be directly the um, table.nestedJoin. And I always want to have a clear auditable trace and be able to go back and check what's happening. This is why all the samples that I did here were done using referencing the initial query, because in the end you might want to do something else with that specific query, and it's good to have stages where you are doing your thing. So as long as we don't have the Twitter handle in the second one, we can do lookup based on the first name, right? So we do the merge and we are trying to match. Let me see. Yeah. Matching the first name from the two queries. I'm leaving the default, the left outer join, and see what we got. So it should be fine, right? We are getting results. Should be okay. Then we should expand it. But I saw something which I'm not sure if you saw it. Check out the number of rows. We have 11 rows now, and when doing the merge, and actually on the left query, we have only 10 rows. So what's the problem? Why do we have more rows? Well, because one of the first names that we have in the second query, and I know by default which is this one, is having two matches in the second query. This is why we are getting one record for each. So for Matt Mason, we are getting both the Matt Mason website and the result for Matt Ellington. And if you're checking here, we have both rows for Matt Mason. I'm having the site from Matt Ellington, and I should have the other one also here. So whenever we are doing a merge, exactly like in VLOOKUP, where if you have multiple columns on the lookup table, you get only the first row. In Power Query, you are getting all the rows that are matching. So be sure to treat this use case and know about it, because sometimes you would really want to bring the both of the records from the other query, but usually we want to match the records, and there is an option to do this, and this is the one that I was saying at the beginning. We leave this one as it is, and I'll show you what we can do. We are referencing again this initial query, and here on the merge, we're not using only the first name, one column. We are using both columns, first name and last name, as if in Excel we would add an additional column concatenating the first name and last name, but we would need to have the additional column both on the first table and on the lookup table, and do the lookup based on that key column that was added. Doing this ensures that we have uniqueness, and we get only the matching rows. And I'm not sure if I said it already or only thought about it. When we are doing merges, the name of the column that we are matching does not have to be the same in both queries, but it needs to be the same type. So if we are trying to match text columns with text columns, it works. But if we are trying to get a column to match a column which is text with a column from the second table which is number, it doesn't work. And another thing which is related to selections, and now with multiple selections, this is how I remember about it. It doesn't matter, as I said, the name of the columns, but it matters very much the order of the column when you are doing the selection. If you see here, there are some small ones and two, and here the same 1 and 2. 1 and 2 here. So the order of the selection matters a lot. So make sure that you are doing the right selection in the first query, and then in the same order doing the selections in the second query. Well, I think I lost my mouse. Yeah. And I don't know why. Yeah, it's back. So doing the merge using multiple columns ensures that we have uniqueness of what we are trying to match. And this is why this time we have only 10 rows as expected and not 11 like the other ones. Here we're just sorting the rows and this is it. Any questions on this one?
No, I don't think there's any questions coming through at this moment in time, Christian. More comments. Again, Jessica mentions that she's never tried to do more than one column. It's so obvious, but yet not.
Well, you can do as many columns as you want, and I think I have another demo with this, and we'll see whether we still have enough time. I think we should pretty much start to close in 10-15 minutes, right?
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, we do have this question coming in from Riz, and what they ask is, do any of these joins sort data during the operation?
Not as far as I know. But to be honest, I don't know exactly how the Power Query works behind the scene, so I'm not sure my view is the best one here.
No
But
problem.
sorting in Power Query is an expensive in terms of resources operations. This is why you would try to sort only when necessary. So this is another thing which is not directly related to this, but sorting in general in Power Query is pretty expensive.
Fantastic there as well, Christian. That's all of the questions for now.
Okay, let's move to the fuzzy matching, fuzzy merging. We have two queries here, again, inserted with the enter table from here. But you'll see why I did some other tables and not the original ones. Let me do a delete and try to do it live, this one, so you see exactly what's happening. So I'm trying to delete until the end. Delete until end. It should work. Yeah. Okay. So first step is referencing the fuzzy masters. I'm just putting different names here. Don't be surprised. It's only for my internal organizing the queries and everything. So they are not fuzzy at all. It's only my notation here. So I want to check again based on the Twitter handle, get based on the multiple columns. I want to get the website from this query because it's more or less the same like before. We need to do a multiple column match. So on the fuzzy all, we just press the merge button. So I'm getting courageous now. I hope it works live. I'm checking the fuzzy websites and I'm doing the selection exactly as I said. First name, last name. I'm getting the 1 and the 2, and here the same. First name, last name. Well, I want to do a left outer join. It's okay. But as you can see here, I'm not sure if it's very visible. The selection matches 5 rows out of 9. Why is that? Well, if I'm only checking visually what's on the screen here, but probably there are more, you'll see why. But let's press this one too and see which ones are the ones that were matched and why. So Hors du Soleil was not matched, so it's not in the second query. Miguel Escobar, yes. Win Hopkins, yes. Gasper, no. And if I saw it right, Hors du Soleil is written in a certain way here in the first query, but in the second query, D is capital. Gasper Kamenchek, for example, it's written with the special characters in this one, and it's written without special characters in the second one. Chris Webb, it's Christopher Webb in the second one, and Chris Webb in the first one. So this might be a problem. Okay, let's go back to the query and try to fix it. If you see here under the join kind, there is a small, let me try to zoom in, maybe it works. There is a small button, use fuzzy matching to perform the merge. Well, doing this, we should get some additional matching, not 5 out of 9, but more. But I think I have to, yeah. This time I'm getting 7 out of 9. And let's see which are the ones that I got and why. Merge queries. Let's do the expand with everything. And see which are not matched. Well, Matt Mason is not matched and Chris Webb is not matched. As you see, Hors du Soleil is matched even if the casing is not the same because I pressed use fuzzy matching. Gasper Kamenchek is also, even if I'm using special characters in one query and normal characters in the other one, here if we check the, not this one, here. If we check the options on the fuzzy matching, you can scroll down a little bit and see that whenever you are pushing the use fuzzy matching to perform the merge, by default, the ignore case and match by combining text part is selected. And doing this kind of match is already solving some of the issues. But as you saw, Matt Mason here in the second one, it's Matthew Mason, I think. Yeah, Matt Mason, it's null, it was not found, and Chris Webb are also actually different names. Matthew Mason and Christopher Webb, whereas in the first one we had Matt Mason and Chris Webb. So what should we do? Well, there is an option here on the merge queries. It's called the similarity threshold. By default, here in the options, the similarity threshold, which is an optional parameter. By default in Power Query, it's 80%. It's 0.8. If you hover over the I here, we should get some info. It's not working this time, but if you're doing it on your own PC, you'll see the explanations. The default is 0.8. So let's try to lower the similarity threshold and see whether we have some more matches or not. Well, if we are lowering to 0.5, so 50% similarities, we still have only 7 out of 9. But if we go a little bit lower on 40%, this time it works. We have 9 matches out of 9. So let's see what is here. Well, if we go to the last step, when expanding, well, we have a problem. This time, trying to match Matt Mason with Matthew Mason, yeah, it worked on this side. But because we had another Matt Ellington, on the second query, we are getting a match with him also. So the total number of matches is not the correct one. If you're checking here, we have 9 rows, and whenever we are expanding the fuzzy matching, we have 10 rows. Always, always, always try to check the results whenever you are using fuzzy matches. But this is a solvable problem. Whenever you know that you might have differences, this kind of differences from a query to another, and this is applicable to all kind of scenarios, trying to combine 2 tables from 2 different countries with 2 different names of columns, there is an option here to use a transformation table, which is an optional parameter, optional thing. Well, it doesn't, again, it doesn't work the hover over it, but the transformation table, it's a simple table with a from to columns. And I'll show you what I mean. I have this transformation table here. It's also inserted as a table. It's a real simple table from Matthew to Matt, from Christopher to Chris. So it's really, really simple. And if we go back to the fuzzy matching here and inside merge operation, we check the transformation table. So use the matching options and use again it's freezing on me. I don't know what's happening. Let me delete this. Estimate again. Now maybe I should still get 7. I think it was the last one. Yeah. But here it's not allowing me to do this one. Normally on a normal PC that works, that actually works, you can just open this drop-down list and choose the transformation table. And whenever you're doing the fuzzy matching with a transformation table, the matching is 100%. I don't know what's happening with my PC now. No, it's not showing even this one. I don't know what's happening. I will try to open in the end my other file. Maybe it's working there, and then show it from there. Any questions related to this?
That's okay. No questions so far. Like we say, a lot of our audience are happy to find out what some of the gotchas are, and also echo the sentiments that in terms of some technical issues, I think this has been a fantastic demonstration so far.
Oh, glad it's helpful, but I'm really sorry it doesn't work as I was expecting to work. I have some more demos, but I will try to stick to a single one, maybe two. We'll see. And this one is from the real world, and it's using a little bit more than just normal merges. It's a bit of logic behind it, and it will take me 2 minutes to explain it to you. So let's go and see whether I can open the other page. Yeah, hopefully. I have a manufacturing process with a long process flow on producing different parts, and then in the end of the process there are 4 consecutive tests. Each of the units needs to pass through the entire flow and have a be tested in all of the tests. So in test 1, if it's passed, it's going to test 2. If it passed, go to test 3, and so forth. And in the end, all the units that are passed in all the tests are packed and shipped. Whenever a serial number, a unit fails in one of the tests, it just go to repair, it gets repaired and retested, and it's the same for all of the 4 tests. Well, normally out of the manufacturing execution system, we are getting a list of serial number history with all the scans for all the serial numbers on all the tests with their results. Well, I'm getting a really long list because we are having thousands of serial numbers, and I'm interested only on the last state of each serial number in the production line. So I want to see out of my entire serial number history, I need to see the actual work in progress. What's the status for each serial number? So if you see here, I have 4 serial numbers in this small sample data set. It should work faster. So serial number A100 passed through all the tests, and on the last one, it's actually failed. Serial number A200 went through a different set of tests, test 1, 2, 3, and it's passed in all of them in different days. Serial number B100 went also on its own flow, and now it's in test 3 with a pass after it failed once in different days, but it doesn't matter. I'm interested to get this status for this one, and all the other ones I'm interested in the last status. And for B200, I'm also having I need to see the last status for it. It works like crazy. With this small sample data set, it should fly. Well, this one, if you see, it went through test 1 and failed first time, and then it passed. Then it went to test 2 and passed from start, and then in test 3 it failed first, and then it passed, and now it is a fail in test 4. But out of this, I need to get only this last number for B200 and the last status for each of the serial numbers. So I need to get 4 rows, one for each serial number that we have in the production line. So going back to the Power Query window, This is the sample data set, nothing fancy, and it's also inserted with an enter table procedure. Cancel and go to the first first query, which is I'm just referencing the initial query, and then I'm doing a group by. So first thing that I was thinking was to give me the a group by serial number, counting how many times each serial number was tested, regardless of the uh, result, and give me the test date where the maximum of that test happened. So I'm building an additional column, test date, getting the maximum of that test date. And doing this, it's working fine. I should have exactly the what I needed. And here, yeah, this is something that I wanted to show you live. Normally, for each of the serial numbers, I'm having the number of scans on the production line and the last date when it was scanned, right? Well, this is something that I want to get to filter the initial table, right? So now I have two tables, the initial table, this one, and as a step inside the same query, I have this table, which is the one that I'm interested in. So I need to get all the details. What was the test station? What was the result based on this serial number, maximum date of testing? How do we do it? Normally, we could do two different queries, doing everything separately and do a normal merge, but we can do better. And this is the way how to do it. We can do a merge here. And this time I want to merge it with itself. So if you are checking here, I'm merging last record 1 with last record 01, the current one. And I'm doing the merge based on serial number and test date, serial number and test date on both of them. This time, because I need only the matching rows, as I said before, matching rows ensures that I'm getting only the rows that are matched in the both queries. Normally, it will return something. The result is correct, but it's not what I wanted. But there is a trick. We can do something to fix it. Normally, if you check the formula here, the formula written by Power Query, and if you don't have the formula activated, my advice is to go to View tab and check the formula bar. So always have it activated. If you check the formula that was written, this is actually saying that and I'll show you the syntax. Let me format it a little bit. Test date, and this is the last serial number. Yeah, let me see if I can get the details on the formula. Yeah, table.nested join works with a table, table 1, which in our case is the last serial number, a key, which is the column that we are doing the matching on, table 2, which is the second query, and the second key 2, this is the matching column from the second one. The new column name is the last serial number and the type of join. But here, if you, as I said before, now in this query, we actually have two steps with two different tables as results. And we can consider inside this merge that we have these two tables, and instead of last serial number here, we just put the source. We just tweak a little bit the code, and we are actually merging the first table from the query with the second table. And this time, because we had the inner join, we have exactly the same numbers that are matching. But as I said before, if you check here, we have only 4 numbers, but the merged result is bigger than 4. And why is that? If we check a little bit closer, this serial number B200 appears 3 times here because it was tested 3 times with 3 different results on the 15th of May. Even if here, yes, we got the 15th of May as the last one, it's happening exactly what happened before when we have multiple matches. This is the result that we are getting. We get a match for each of them here. But this is not the expected result. So what do? Well, we reference it again. We reference the last record raw data again. And we try to get a column to help us doing the right group by. And this column, it should work. It's not that complicated, only few rows. Yeah. So if you check here, the test station has a number here. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 test stations that we have. We just add a step to extract the number after test and get the station ID. So this is using the add column, extract text after delimiter, and I only change the name to station ID. So I'm getting the station ID for each of the tests. Next step is to modify the type of the station ID to number and rename the query. And the next step is to do exactly what I did before. So if you are checking the group by this time, I'm doing a group by, but instead of keeping only the serial number, the number of tests, and counting the maximum test date, this time I'm getting the last station where that specific serial number was tested in. And I'm doing an additional column, which is called station ID, getting the maximum of this station ID. And then we are doing again a merge, but this time I'm doing the merge. Let me delete it and do it all over so you can see what's happening here. Not this one, delete. So just like before, we have 2 steps inside this query, which are exactly the ones that we are interested in. We have this step where we have all the data. I just renamed it base in order to be easier when I'm referencing the step name. And we have the group by step where we have this time both the serial number and the station ID where that specific serial number was scanned. Well, this time I'm doing a merge and I'm doing the same thing like before. I'm merging it with itself. It's pretty counterintuitive at the beginning to merge something with itself, but this time I'm also doing the merge based on station ID because I'm interested to get the details and see where my unit was in the process. So this time I'm doing the merge based on 3 columns, not 2 columns. And I'm also choosing the inner join. And then here, if you see, this is the first table that I'm doing the join. This is the second table. if this would work based on these three keys. But here I'm doing replacing with the base with this step here. I'm doing a join between this one and this one, considering them tables as they are. Doing the merge like this, I'm getting the exact right result with product with A200, A100, B100, and B200 only once, with their test stations, with their test date and their results. And the last step could be also to just delete whatever it's not necessary, and keep only what's needed, and load it in Power BI to get the right results. So here, for example, on the next page, I have the right results. If I didn't break them, not working as it should, but we'll get there. Anyway, this is my last demo because I know we went a bit over the time. I only have one more slide to show, and then we can go to the final questions. What to remember when doing merges? Well, as I said, when you are doing the merge, you have to have the same type of columns when you are matching them from two different queries. When you are doing a merge, you need to select the same number of columns in both queries, on the left side and on the right side. As you saw, Power Query is case sensitive and can return strange results unless you are checking the fuzzy matching, but then be sure to check the results if you check the fuzzy matching and ignore the cases. Always make sure that you transform your data and clean the trailing or leading spaces or non-printable characters. As I said, you could use from a query, just go to the button and merge, bring additional column in that specific query, or you can merge a column and create a new query. My preference is to reference the initial query and then start from there, but it's a matter of preference. As I said, if there are duplicates in the lookup table, you get multiple returns. Whether this is intentional, okay, but you have to do it like this. But if it's not intentional, it can cause problems, and always check for the at least the number of rows that are resulting after a merge. As I showed you with the 1, 2, 3 numbers, when you are doing multiple columns, order matters. Order of the selection matters very much, not necessarily the name. And be sure to always check the results when you are changing the similarity threshold on fuzzy matching. Thank you very much. We have some Q&A time now, and then I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn, Twitter, or come and join Romania Power BI user group for our next session, where actually in June we have Pragati as a speaker.
Excellent. Thank you very much there, Cristian. An absolutely amazing session. Just added myself and Pragati back in now. I think that in terms of, as you mentioned, the deep dive across Power Query joins, I don't think you've left much that hasn't been said. I think that's been an absolutely amazing session. So happy to have gone over because there was some absolutely golden nuggets of information in there. I think you'll agree there, Pragati.
Yeah, I think I was literally, grasping few golden rules which he just showed in the summary slide, because they are really the key points which every one of us as a developer should, make sure we are doing things right in Power Query. Because if transformations in Power Query are gone wrong, then your performance
Everything
has gone
else.
wrong.
Yeah.
Everything else is gone wrong, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I think this session was really important. And I literally learned few things because Christian, I myself don't sometimes, keep in mind these things while doing those kind of transformations. So I think this session on joins was really helpful.
Well, I'm glad it
Yeah.
helped. And I hope everybody in the audience found at least something useful in it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
got amazing comments actually. Yeah, everyone has really wrote good comments for you like this regarding the session.
Well,
So, yeah.
thank you.
definitely. Like I say, the likes of Pedro, he's thanked you for the information you passed across in this session. We also have Jessica that said thank you so much. This is really helpful. We do have a couple of questions that we will get to as well throughout. But like I say, I think that this has been an absolutely amazing session there, Christian. So the question I do want to pose to you has come up quite a
Yeah.
couple of times in the chat now. And so Riz has asked, what is the equivalent of a union within Power Query?
Union, I think it's append. Yeah. Append, it's the union as long as you have the same column names. As I said, if you have one column name which is not fitting with the other ones, that specific column name will be added to the right with no data for the previous query that you are joining.
Exactly. And from there on, we just have, again, some comments coming in saying it was a great presentation, Christian, from
Well,
Claudia. So, Claudia, thank
thank
you for
you,
joining
Claudia
us.
and Jessica, for joining. We know each other since long time, and I'm really grateful that my friends are here.
Oh, fantastic. It's great to see that support. And we also have Mariam as well. Mariam says, thank you, Christian, for that session. And as I mentioned, if our users haven't already, then please do go and look up the Romania user group. We have put the link to that in the chat, both on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So it would be great to see some of the Power BI UK user group members head over, especially because we have Pragati joining them soon. And Christian, just a little plug, I will expect my invite at some point in the future as well.
For sure, for sure. There are some free spaces actually this year,
Leon
so
can do the
we can.
next one.
Well, the next one it's already booked. The August is booked. October and November are booked, but we can discuss it.
Excellent. We'll talk, and
We
we'll all be joining you for Pagatti's one anyway to give her our support.
Yeah, we would be
Yay.
grateful to
Join
have
me,
both of
guys.
you.
No, like I say, Christian, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us today, and hopefully, like I say, we'd love to have you back in the future. I think that in terms of the demonstration, all of our community agrees that the demo gods do play a part, but I don't think in terms of the session that we lost anything to that. I think it flowed really well throughout, and like I say, I applaud you for the session. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thanks again for inviting me, and hopefully next time we'll come with some more advanced tricks with joints and some other Power Query stuff. Because in
Definitely.
Power Query was my first love in the Power BI world, so I will always be a Power Query fan and then a DAX fan. Well, I need that.
So next time you have your name in that table with other Power Query experts, Christian, because
Exactly.
I think your grasp on Power Query is really good. I mean, I
Well,
learned a lot in today's session, and I'm sure everyone learned a lot. So I think next
yeah,
time we need your name in the table when you're merging.
I don't think so, but because that was my list of Power Query masters, I will not be able to put myself on my list.
Okay, I'll do a Power Query basic session and put your name in the list.
Excellent.
No, I've learned so much from the community, and I'm so happy that I have this kind of opportunities to share a bit from what I've learned. And it's always good to explain something to people that are not there yet, or have it structured in a different way. Maybe someone will get something, and it will be helpful in the end.
Definitely. I think
Definitely.
that's what we're all here for. And like I say, Christian, we really appreciate that. So thank you very much for joining us. Pragati, as I mentioned, as being a co-host today for the first time, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. And we're looking forward to having you with us again in the future.
Yeah, definitely, Leon. I'm not missing these sessions now because I really felt like I really felt good here being a co-host. So yeah, Always a pleasure.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
Excellent.
Guys, you'll see me again soon.
Definitely. And thank you to everybody in the community, obviously, that's joined us from the Microsoft Power BI UK user group. As always, this session has been brought to you in association with Pomerol, Pomerol Partners. And you could have been anywhere in the world, but you've been here with us at the Microsoft Power BI UK user group. Stay safe, and we shall see you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.